is it possible that the thing that most divides our loyalties and passions is what can inspire us all to work together? For centuries, sports has played a major role in defining the civic identity of America. Today, they hold the power and the ability to transform lives.
We're not looking for big league players, we're looking for big league people.
Ask the city of Los Angeles, who invested their profits from the 1984 Olympic Games in youth sports programs in the inner cities. Two sisters from Compton picked up a tennis racket. The rest is history. Sports allow an inspirational moment.
Oh, wow, what a moment.
To ignite a battle to find a cure.
We have raised a little over $3 million.
They provide life lessons and hope, and the benefits of working together for the greater good. Most of all, sports are one of the few remaining methods we have to reach at-risk youth for positive social change. That is the power of sports.
Welcome to a special edition of Power of Sports presented by Group 1001. I'm your host, Rick Horrow. This marks the 16th edition of Power of Sports, where we travel from coast to coast, spotlighting stories about athletes, teams, and organizations using sports to transform lives. This month, we're going to show you some of our favorite interviews and moments from Power of Sports over the last year and a half. You'll hear thoughts on giving back from some of the biggest names in the world of sports, and we'll also give you updates on some of the incredible organizations we feature on the show. We usually open every show with City Pulse, a look at what teams in every city are doing to give back. But this month, let's scan back to some of the more than 40 teams that we've showcased on Power of Sports to look at the work that's inspired us the most. We've visited 23 different cities over the first 15 months of Power of Sports and talked to teams in every major professional sport, minor league franchises, and several major college programs. In each place, it's been amazing to see the incredibly creative ways teams are giving back to the communities that support them. One of the most innovative programs was the Minnesota Twins and their partnership with Roots for the Home Team.
I work collaboratively with 4 garden programs in the Twin Cities, and those garden programs give me access, if you will, to their youth. Working in their programs, they're growing their vegetables, so these kids create recipes, salad recipes based on the vegetables that they're growing in their programs. And then they sell to Roots for the Home Team the harvest of those vegetables, and then Target Field jumps in, their chefs there, and make the recipes that are shipped over, and then the kids come on the weekends and sell their salads to fans.
Since we featured them last March, Roots for the Home Team has added a partnership with the Brewers that now gives youth in Milwaukee the same entrepreneurial training so many in the Twin Cities have benefited from.
This sense of accomplishment, because it's their food, their hard labor, and then their recipe, and then their service or salesmanship for it, and then they sell out. So it's this amazing win-win-win across the board for these kids to see the capacity that they have.
One of the longest lasting and most impressive initiatives was in Miami, where the Heat have supported their Heat Academy since 1999. In addition to funding after-school programs in the most economically disadvantaged areas of the city, the team has a scholarship program that annually provides over a dozen attendees of the academy with 4 years of college tuition upon high school graduation.
The beautiful thing about it is that we target some of the lowest performing students at each of these schools. And by the end of the school year, what we've noticed via the data is that some of these students that were underperformers before are now performing at level or above their peers. So it's real change that's tangible. We've made a commitment to these communities, to these students, to these families, and the ripple effect that education has on these students and generations of those family members to come. Many of these students are first-time college students. We've been here and in these communities doing the hard work for 19 straight years, and we look forward to continue to doing that work.
Both the New Orleans Baby Cakes and Pittsburgh Pirates told us about their passion for supporting Miracle League teams in their areas.
The whole idea is these fields are rubberized and they're flat. So a child with a mobility issue, a vision issue, They don't have to worry about tripping over anything. I think the biggest asset of this program is it's a feeling of inclusion. And we think about what this program does for these kids and for these adults, and we say this is a good thing, and this is the power of baseball. You really can change somebody's life through baseball.
And speaking of youth leagues, how about the Arizona Diamondbacks and their youth jersey program? The D-backs provide jerseys to over 65,000 youth baseball and softball players across the state of Arizona.
We started this program in 1994. We originally went out and talked to all the directors of little leagues and softball leagues and asked them what their biggest challenge was. And over we heard it's the cost of uniforms. And some of these leagues were going to have to close their doors and close their gates. So by us doing so, we were able to free up a lot of money. Some of them ended up waiving entry fees for the participants. Some of them redid their fields or the mounds. So it's really been a nice program for us. And to see kids out there with brand new fresh jerseys and caps each year and with the D-backs represented is tremendous.
We love the story of NHL superstar PK Subban, who approached the Predators with his own idea of a community program he knew would have an impact.
PK came up with this idea. He wanted to invite a police officer and a guest and a youth and a guest to come to a hockey game. And we said, PK, what if we do it once a month? And PK said, no, this is what I want to do. So we said, all right, we'll find it, we'll make it happen, and we'll bring them down after the game. And PK said, no, I want them to come down at 5:15. I want to meet them, I want to sign autographs, I want to answer questions, and then I want them to go get dinner. So we said, all right, let's make this work. So we reached out to the Metro Police. Each month we work with a local youth agency that the officer and the child get to sit and have these conversations, and the child gets to see the police officer as a citizen and just another human, and it is developing these relationships and friendships just through the game of hockey.
And speaking of ideas, who can forget Houston Rockets owner and star of CNBC's billion-dollar buyer, Tillman Fertitta, telling us about how he came up with a new way to start a basketball game and give back to charity at the same time.
I've always thought, why does baseball get to own first pitch and we shouldn't do first shot? And if they make it, $5,000 goes to charity. And, you know, I plan on owning this team for a long time, and we plan on giving a lot of money away.
One of the most gratifying things we've seen on Power Sports is to see how City Pulse has inspired other communities because of things they've learned on our show. As one of our interviewees from the Pittsburgh Pirates told us, there's no such thing as stealing an idea as long as it's doing good. Up next, some of our sports heroes talking about what philanthropy means to them.
On behalf of Group 1001, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Power of Sports. We are proud to travel across the country each month to tell the stories of how teams, athletes, and organizations are using sports as a catalyst for change in their communities. At Group 1001, our mission is to make insurance more useful and accessible to everyone. Our mission through Power of Sports is to inspire people across the country to see sports as a solution for positive change. To learn more, visit us at group1001.com.
I met Tim at the back of a panel that we were doing together, and he started to tell me about Fields and Futures and what it meant to the city and what it meant to schools like Southeast. And when I heard the story, I was like, we just have to get involved. And it's been a great partnership to come together and to build beautiful fields just like this one.
A great moment from the groundbreaking of Southeast High School's sparkling new fields, which we covered right here on Power of Sports, which makes this the perfect time to recognize Group 1001, the presenting sponsor of Power of Sports, for the work they do coast to coast using sports as a catalyst for positive social change. Through a $5 million commitment to the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, amazing new fields will soon be built in underserved communities across the U.S. thanks to Group 1001. We look forward to sharing the future impact of those facilities on our show, and thank CEO Dan Tauris and Group 1001 for their incredible support. From the NFL to figure skating to college football to IndyCar, Power Sports has been packed with legends, Hall of Famers, and future superstars in the first 15 episodes. Let's take a look at some of these amazing interviews and words of wisdom from game changers we talked to across the sporting landscape.
Here's why I do it. When I was a kid, I remember how important every word that a big league baseball player said. Yeah. I remember reading a Sports Illustrated article that had Willie Stargell said, you make it to the big leagues on talent, you stay because you're smart. And then I literally thought that being smart, meaning doing well in school, would help my chances to be a big league baseball player. And so it made me focus and concentrate on my schoolwork. And so you never know what impact you're going to have on a kid, but I know that it's there. And to me, I just wanted to make sure that any impact that I had would have been positive.
The value of athletics is really, really important to developing a lot of the characteristics that help you be successful in life. I mean, all kinds of things as a competitor that makes you have a much better chance to be successful in life. My mom always said, if you ever have the opportunity, you know, your dad's legacy was to help young people. You know, do something to do that. You know, my dad's old saying was, no man stands as tall as when he stoops to help a child.
And one guy said to me, he said, well, Curtis, maybe football is just a vehicle that's going to help you to do all the good that you want to do in your community and, you know, in the country and around the world possibly. So maybe football is just that vehicle. And it was from that moment on that football took on a different purpose. And it gave me that motivation to work hard, to lift weights, to do everything that I needed to do to be successful on the field. What really makes my heart sing is impacting people's lives in a positive way. So for me, every yard that I gained, every touchdown I scored, that just opened up another door for me to reach another person. And so for me, all of that stuff shows how adamant I was about using football as a vehicle to serve what I believe is a bigger purpose.
This has got to be about more than golf. This has got to be about making a difference, not only in Indy, but making a difference in young girls' lives and dreams. And if we can do that through Women in Tech, if we can do that through Fields and Futures, if we can do it through any one of those efforts, if we can change expectations of young girls, we'll change lives of adult women.
If you look at the recipe or a pie chart for success, failure is the largest single ingredient. In writing this, I figured out that from my first steps on the ice all the way to my last year as a professional, I fell down 41,600 times.
Got up every time.
Got up 41,600 times. And in that, I learned how to survive cancer. I learned how to survive all kinds of setbacks and issues in my life.
When I watched her beat Bobby Riggs and set the world on fire, because it wasn't just about a tennis match, it was about changing the way people perceive women, I think it gave me permission to do something that I wanted to do that I didn't think I could do and that I didn't know how to do yet. Yeah. But I think somehow it gave me permission. It was like, you know, if she does this in national television in front of all these people, I can go out to some local racetrack and drive a race car.
We're even more excited about the future guests we have in coming months of Power Sports as athletes and others talk about their incredible philanthropy. Up next, an update on the sports-centered nonprofit organizations we've profiled on Power of Sports. In each city we visit, we highlight a local program or organization in a community that uses sports as a central method to effect change in their area. Let's provide an update on some of these organizations and the amazing heights they've reached since we profiled them on Power of Sports.
Let's start in Indianapolis, where we told you about the Joseph Maley Foundation and JM Fitness, which provides adaptive and inclusive sports opportunities for kids with all form of disability.
We have volunteers paired up one-on-one with all of our athletes, and they work together to create a truly customizable and adaptive program to meet the needs of every athlete that we have.
Not only was the organization voted the best nonprofit in Indy recently, they also held their first week-long camp for siblings of kids with disabilities last summer, allowing them to share their common experiences with their peers. We featured South Bronx United in our New York episode, a youth soccer club that serves kids in the poorest congressional district in America.
I have 22 boys from 14 different countries, speak over 30 different languages, worship different religions. You never get an environment like that. I hope they do. Speaks to the nature of, the united in our name. Everything we do is united.
The organization was recognized by Nike as one of 12 across the United States that support Hispanic and Latino communities through programs that increase physical activity, earning a $25,000 grant to help their efforts. Police Athletic League, or PAL teams, exist across the United States. In Oklahoma City, we featured several police officers making a big difference in OKC public schools.
The kids get to know us and they know we're police officers. They see how we are. We're on their level. You know, they see us as a different person.
Through Oklahoma City Thunder VP and General Manager Sam Presti's relationship with Peace Players International, Oklahoma City PAL has established a partnership that will begin a program to further enhance relationships between youth, police, and the community. Presti and his wife Shannon pledged $140,000 towards the effort. And who could forget about Let's Play in Nashville, which uses after-school soccer programs to improve the language skills of kids who speak English as a second language.
We really believe that this has tremendous impact on the students. We see the kids using the skills during the day in the classroom. We're hoping that this gives them the opportunity to find success in other areas, to really be confident in who they are, and to build some friendships.
Last summer, they held their first Spanish immersion soccer camp for boys and girls in 1st through 6th grade. 94% of kids surveyed after a recent Let's Play workshop said they had more confidence in their English after participating in Let's Play.
And that's just a small handful of groups we've had time to look back on. Up next, we take our monthly trip to Oklahoma City for an update on Fields and Futures work in the largest school district in Oklahoma. And now we turn our focus back to Fields and Futures, a nonprofit in Oklahoma City committed to rebuilding 42 athletic fields in the state's largest school district. Believing every child deserves the opportunity to experience the power of sports for themselves, and it starts with a safe place to play and a field to call home. Every month on Power of Sports, Fields and Future shares a story about how a playing field can impact the life of a coach, athlete, or other individual. Today we introduce you to Brianna Bighorse, whose lifelong search for a role model eventually led her onto a softball field.
I was known for fighting in middle school. Every time they heard my name, they'd be like, oh, you gotta watch out. Or Bighorse, don't mess with her. I was going down a very wrong path, and I was just searching for that guidance, and I found it here.
The assistant principal pulled up her rap sheet, and it was probably 3 computer pages long. And I said, I don't care what she's done in the past. She's not there anymore. She's gone from one extreme to the other. She has a 3.9 GPA. She's part of student council. She actually has helped mentor freshmen.
I've done everything that I wanted to. I took on some challenges that I didn't think I could accomplish. I am wanting to join the Marines. Once you have that mindset, I can do it, instead of I can't do it, you can go a long ways.
Without further ado, I want to introduce you to Brianna Bighorse.
I chose Marines because I'm a sports person, I like being competitive. They're the hardest. Well, let's see what they're about, Let's see if I can do it, and I did it. I wanted to be different. That played a big role. I wanted to be someone in life. Why would you go to sleep at night and be like, dang, I didn't give it my all, It started taking me places, making better opportunities for me. Every day is a learning experience. Go out there and wake up in the morning and be like, what am I going to achieve today? No matter how hard the challenge is, I can overcome anything.
It's a perfect fitting for her, and probably a pretty good start to a successful career for her too as well.
Up next, our social spotlight with Dwayne Taylor.
What a great look back at the best of Power of Sports this month, but it's left us just a little time to look at our favorite sports stories on social media over the first 15 episodes of the show. Let's get going. In baseball, it has to be Haley Dawson, the incredible 8-year-old with a 3D printed right hand who has thrown out the first pitch at every major league stadium and topped it off by doing it at the World Series. Football, it has to be J.J. Watt and his Hurricane Harvey relief efforts. Watt helped raise over $41 million, making it the largest crowdsourced fundraiser in history. In basketball, we loved what the Minnesota Lynx did to celebrate their 2017 world title after not getting an invite to the White House. They still went to D.C., but for a day of community service at a school where 30% of the kids are homeless. Last but not least, soccer, where Manchester United's Juan Mata is pushing for all soccer players to pledge 1% of their career earnings to charity through his Common Goal charity. Whew. Just a quick look at our favorite of dozens of amazing social spotlight stories we've covered. We cannot wait to see what's in store over the next 15 episodes. I'm Dwayne Taylor, back to Rick to wrap up the show.
That's it for this month. Next month will be the Pop Warner Super Bowl in Orlando for some amazing guests and stories you won't want to miss. I'm your host, Rick Horrow. We'll catch you next time on The Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001.